and I'm going to share my screen. Just give me a sec. Hold on one second. Sorry. Hold on. Uh, Here we go. Can you see that?
Yes, we can.
Yes, yay. Okay. So just a little preamble for you. And I thought it would be good to give you guys kind of a state of play for EcoAthletes, where we are today. And it's it's kind of a really short version of a SWOT analysis that we did, but without the threats really. So it's a SWO. We did the SWOT, but for this, it's just going to be SWO: strengths, weakness, opportunity. Um, so. Uh, what do we see as our main strength? Our main strength, basically and happily, are you all. You guys are our strength. We are now, let's see, 221 champions strong. And that is a growth rate of 32% versus where at this point last year and or 54 champions. And on aggregate, you guys have 2.7 million social followers, and that's one metric. So that's the size of your network, which is impressive, and the champions, you guys and the others have been great at leveraging that to bring out our messaging and our programming to your followers. So that's kind of the narrowest or the closest in way to measure our reach. However, where we've also had success is getting our champions to speak publicly about climate action, our programs, other initiatives, that y'all's initiatives on media, from podcasts to traditional media, and from local media to BBC in the UK, ESPN here, RCN in Colombia, CBC in Canada, all over the world. And And our champions, regardless of how big your social following is, attract media because of the power of your stories. And humans react to stories. And your stories, especially those relating to climate, are compelling. And so how compelling? Well, in 2024, our best and conservative estimate is that you all generated 160 million media impressions. So a media impression is one view of a television show or one listen to a radio show. 160 million. For an organization our size, and you'll see how small we are in the next bullet, that's incredible. And that's a testament to you guys. In the first half of this year, we are already through June, 103 million. Now, last year we had the bump because of the Olympics. We don't have that this year, so I don't know where we're going to end up. But even at 103 million for the first 6 months, that's a really good start to getting us to where we were last year, or maybe above. And it's truly that is the biggest strength. That is our power. Now, weakness, we're tiny. Our budgets are small, and we haven't had big fundraising hits. At uh, big meaning hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars. So the small budget means we have a small staff and we have to scrimp and save, which is we're not complaining about that, but that limits our ability to deliver programming, to reach more followers, to get our message out there more compellingly. on a number of different ways. So our revenue this year is going to be somewhere around 50,000, and you're like, that's tiny, and we're like, yes, that's tiny, but it's more than it was in 24, and it's more than it was in 23. However, it's not enough to get us to where we want to go, and that's the challenge. However, the opportunity is with fundraising success, and that is going to come from the efforts of Sydney, our work, a concerted strategic approach to it for the next 18 months at least and beyond, and to your help with our brainstorm today. We can reach the high end of our estimate this year, and then next year blow it away. And so what I'm looking at for 26 is 100,000 additional or incremental dollars to wherever it is we end up in 25. And like I said, Sydney is leading the charge as development manager, as she is bringing the fun back into fundraising. Um, so uh, let's see next. Hold on one second. So now I wanted to take a look at and show you where we get our funds from, the funds that we've raised, and how that compares to US nonprofits more broadly. Um, and I think an interesting uh, factoid emerges. So in the orange is EcoAthletes, and there are basically three buckets of revenue for nonprofits or donations. Those are partnerships with corporations and other nonprofits. Those are grants from foundations and other philanthropic organizations. And those are donations from individuals. And so if you look on a percentage basis, we have over-indexed on partnerships. And if you take a step back, or at least if I take a step back, that kind of makes sense because sports, the world of sports, is all about sponsorships, and sponsorships is another word for partnerships. So we've been able to, especially this year, have success with partnerships with other nonprofits as it relates to the EcoAthletes Collegiate Cup in 2020, in spring of this year, which is the competition between the colleges where we and universities where we have at least one champion on campus active as a student athlete, and they invite their friends and family and everybody they know and people they don't know to sign up for the Duke team or the Stanford team or the Rutgers team on an app, and then all of their exercise gets totaled up onto whatever team they've signed up for. And those steps, those swimming strokes, those rowing strokes get converted into an environmental currency in 2025 that was uh, planting and restoring coral. And we broke all our records from the first 2 years by a lot. And we planted on aggregate 3,300 coral, and the corals are huge. Um, and so Ocean Conservancy sponsored that, Earth Day Network sponsored that, and we've had other smaller partnerships, including um, with uh, with Procter and Gamble. That was 24. Then in terms of grants, back to partnerships. So that's like almost two-thirds of our revenue comes from partnerships, but partnerships for most nonprofits are a relatively small portion of the pie. 9 or 10% on average for US nonprofits combined, or on average, I should say. As far as philanthropic grants are concerned, and we've had grants from the ESPN Foundation and the Billie Jean King Foundation and the Cliff Family Foundation, which is Cliff Bar, that comes in at around 19-20%. And that's really close to where it is for most um, nonprofits. On individual donations, that is where nonprofits really make their hay. In this analysis, 73% of revenue for nonprofits comes from individual donations, and that's cash donations, donations in kind, um, uh, from estate planning, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we are under 20%. And we've done some fundraisers before with clearly modest success. And again, taking a step back, I do think that partnerships, even when we get to a very robust level of funding, will be higher than the average because we're sports. However, I think there is a huge opportunity to grow individual donations. And that is what we're going to talk about in a couple minutes, get your thoughts and your ideas. But before that, I'm going to hand it over to Sydney to get your thoughts on fundraising more broadly before we dive in specifically to our task at hand. So, Sydney,
Yeah.
you're up.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that presentation so far, Lou. And thank you all for sticking with us and listening. So I have a question for all of you. Have you ever been a part of or seen advertised or heard of a fundraiser that has really just stood out to you? Whether it was unique, whether there was something that made you really want to, support that fundraiser. We'd love to hear if any of you have any of those.
I'm going to jump in. We heard of one last night that I thought was really cool, where uh, it's a bingo game, and you make a donation when you get literally a bingo card, and you make a donation, a small donation, 5, $10, whatever, when uh, someone achieves kind of a goofy, uh, you know, they're asked to do a three-legged race. I don't even know. I'm just making it up. But there are kind of fun tests, and then and then funds get, uh, you know, I just thought, wow, I had not heard of that. I liked that. Any
I
others?
think, yeah, in the sports realm, there's the Pan Mass Challenge, which is a double century ride over 2 days from Boston around the Cape. And maybe I have
Whoa.
a biased perspective of it, but I have a coach who survived breast cancer and she rides it every year and fundraises for it. And I think things like that, where it's an athletic feat, it just gets more attention. Um, I think it's pretty, like, she clearly has her angle to it. But it tugs on the heartstrings. It kind of brings you in. You're like, hell yeah, I'm going to support this. Like, that's just badass. And we do something similar in Philadelphia for funding inner city rowing programs, because rowing is historically pretty light. And it's called the PCR 10K Challenge, where it's rowers all over, really Philly, but they bring in a lot of people from all over the country. Sometimes they get people all over the world to post the PCR 10K challenge, where you row 10,000 meters. Some people do it in pretty creative ways. Other people just do it on the rowing machine. And you're supposed to row 10K and donate $10 and then challenge other people, which is cool. And I have two other thoughts on this, kind of. But Gianna, I don't know if you wanted to say anything about what I was saying or give your own example.
Oh no, mine was my own example if you want to continue first.
Okay, I'll
Okay.
go quickly. The things that we are noticing at scale is that those who are like US rowing won't really focus on the elite athlete, because they get so much money from masters athletes and youth athletes. So those are two other populations that, as a brainstorming idea, I think it's worth talking about how we can tap into them as like older individuals who are stewards, who aren't exactly alumni of EcoAthletes because they haven't been doing it that long, but that we can win them over to try and get that population that, Lou, to your point, like they might have this estate planning or some sort of donation structure where like they need to donate each year. How do we get on their radar? And then how do we resonate with kids who maybe want to start a sustainability career, or their parents want to figure out a way to bring them in? If EcoAthletes can be the vehicle for getting young athletes in really, really early into their climate career, uh, there might be a way to do some sort of like fellowship or learning series for high schoolers that is coupled with a donation. It's a little bit more of a program than a donation, but like as a donor, like you have access to X, Y, or Z. Is just two thoughts. But over to Gianna.
I think that's some really good ideas. Yeah, thank you for sharing.
Very good. And now, Gianna, you had your hand raised.
Yeah, totally. And thank you so much for sharing that. And I agree. I think those are great ideas. I started thinking about just like, as we were always sharing, just like impact overall. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. It was something in like 2014, and I think it was a viral fundraiser. Um, and I started looking it up really quick. It raised over, I think, 115 million.
It was incredible.
Um,
Incredible.
yeah, and I think why it worked was it was just simple and fun. And so that's the first thing that came to mind when I was thinking fundraiser. What was the biggest fundraiser that had a lot of impact? And I just remember seeing that. And I think it came back, I think it was for maybe a different reason, but didn't it come back last year or something?
I think it was
Um,
mental health. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so that's like something that I don't know if we could replicate that in some way. It was just so easy and shareable and fun. And I
Oh my
think that's
God.
just because it had a great impact because it had, storytelling kind of aligned with it, and it was just super easy to do. So that's just the first thing that came to mind when I was thinking fundraisers. So
Yeah,
just
I
an
mean,
idea.
oh, that was, I mean, that out of every fundraiser, outside, well, this is gonna be lot, kind of give you the idea of how old I am, but like I remember when we were a kid, it was like trick or treat for UNICEF. Like you would go to get Halloween candy, except I couldn't because my dad was a dentist. So you go to get Halloween candy, and then you'd ask them for a donation, and then you'd give it to United Nations Children's Fund. But the challenge, the Ice Bucket Challenge, to me is the fundraiser that I like. I can't think of another one that had that kind of breakthrough quality. Carlos Mario.
Hola, Halil. I have to go now, but I have an idea. Why don't we make an EcoAthlete Academy? Because I'm saying it's gonna have a course about this topic. So you pay $20. You can make just a video. We pay for that, and it's easy because all the time it's gonna be like this. Like all that we have to do is sharing. Oh, why don't you try to do this? Because you can learn about the equality of what we're doing in around the world, and you can even start learning something, because I think it's easier. We can make in some idioms like different language, like in Spanish. So the person who want to start making that we are what we are doing, they can start like in models and something. I think it's a good idea because we need to teach more persons in South America about this topic, but they don't have all the time for make this kind of interaction that we're having today. So I think it's a good idea if they want to start when they have the time, they can pay something, they can learn, and when they have the time, they can came with us and try to do all of these things, because I think it's easier and we're having money that is the things that we need now.
Wow. Excellent. Excellent. Carlos Mario. Muchas gracias. And And also, I will be in touch with you directly. We can talk more about it, and we could potentially talk with um, uh, Camila Pirelli, La Pantera Guarani from Paraguay, and a couple of the others to give us to get the Spanish thing going.
Perfecto. I
Okay.
have to go. Ciao.
Adios.
Ciao.
He is really he is a pioneer in that part of the world on this stuff, I have to say. Um, really great guy. All right, there was one more. I'm going to go back to sharing the screen. Let's just see if there was one more piece to this. And then, oh yes, you're up, Sydney. Up, but you're muted.
I'm muted. Got it. You'd think I would know by now at this point. Um, so I guess our next question for you is, what are you personally willing to do to help us fundraise? And if you hate fundraising, that's okay. I'd rather you be honest. But we just got some, ideas on the slideshow. Like, would you be willing to post on your Instagram? And then from that, like, would you be willing to post on your grid or only your story? Texting and emailing your family and friends, uh, donating your time or like, I guess, value as an athlete. But through like, autographs, cameo sorts of things. If you have any ideas or any strong feelings about that, good or bad, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think me personally, I would totally be comfortable not only reaching out to friends and family, but posting and using my platform on Instagram. I think that's one of athletes' biggest strengths, whether they realize it or not. I did a lot of, networking with athletes from all over the country, student athletes, professional athletes, during my internship this summer, and I think it's a really huge strength for athletes to be able to use their voices and platforms to share things that they care about and to do storytelling and things like that. And kind of like we all have been talking about, and like Lou's been talking about, our storytelling, it's a huge opportunity for eco athletes. And I think if we use our platforms to share fundraising opportunities and ways that not only athletes, but people from all over the country, all over the world can contribute to our cause, then that will be us as athletes and organizers as well coming together and using those platforms and voices for good. So I think me personally, I'd be totally comfortable sharing on my Instagram, on other social media platforms, whether it's grid or stories. And I think that's a great idea. So totally.
And I think that that's super important because one feature of eco athletes is that it's not like we're in one place. So we could do something with like it's not like we're all members of Duke track and field. Um, we're all over the world. So it's kind of diffuse in that way, and that makes like some aspects of it harder. However, it also makes it global and interconnected. And so that could make it more powerful. So certainly that you're willing to share on Instagram like that and any other platforms that you like, uh, is great. Anyone else or
Hi. Oh, yes, I'm happy to post about it and share it wherever I can. I'm comfortable with that.
yay. All right.
Uh,
Christine.
yeah, I'll just say, for me, it depends a little bit just because I wear several different hats. And if one hat finds out I'm fundraising for another hat, then it gets a little complicated. But I think pretty good behind the scenes. So for larger like conversations for new partnerships or new structures, either on the strategic side internally. Um, I've also put so many GoFundMe links out because I have to fundraise for my own world championships and like pay out of pocket for them. So I understand there's some fatigue in my orbit in terms of asking for money. Um, but depending on how it develops, I'm not opposed to like, amplifying campaigns that we have going on. But yeah, I'd love if there's any way I can be helpful on the strategic side of things, um, or if we like kind of want to go for larger donors and there's sort of a stewarding process for that, I would be happy to be on the development side on those conversations.
And larger donors is a conversation that we haven't gotten to yet, but I think that's one that, Sydney and we will definitely want to talk to you about, um, uh, for sure. So that's a great point that you bring up. And Marabella, were you looking to say something?
Yeah, sorry. I that reminds me. Um, there's a there's a event, the Sports Summit USA in September. Are you guys attending? Because
I
I
didn't.
met some of the people who were organizing it, and they invited me to come while I was trying to like get FIU to basically go, and then athlete reps can go with them. And I don't know, I was just thinking about donations and like big donors and stuff, and I wonder if that would be somewhere that you could maybe find some donors. I'm
I
not sure.
I didn't know I didn't know it existed until you just mentioned it.
Yes,
Where and when is it?
it's in Miami and it's on in September, like the 20 something of September. I can find the info and share it, but yeah, I
Yeah,
basically met these people at the FIFA. There was a FIFA launching event in Miami as well. It was super cool, and I met these people from there, and yeah, I can share more info
share that.
later.
It could be because we have during the 20 like September 20 something is going to be when it's Climate Week NYC here.
Yes.
And I'm going to a couple things that could be fundraising for sure. So it might, but it could be um if you're going to be there, we could talk offline about it, but I see Christine has raised her hand.
Mm-hmm.
Well, just similar to this, I think, as Imara was saying, that I remember being at Green Sports,
Alliance.
uh, a Green Sports Alliance, and I started getting approached by their foundation,
Mm-hmm.
and their foundation is looking for money to a point where um, I I think we'd be competing unless we have a really compelling value proposition that differs from them. Like we were approaching them to partner from the UN side, and they were like, "Yeah, but do you have any money?" And I was like, "That is such an ridiculous way to try and partner with." It was like, sorry, I'm oversharing, but I thought like their approach was a little bit
That
uh, aggressive.
heavy-handed, a little
Yes,
heavy-handed, do you think? Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So
We are a light touch agency. We are a light
yes,
touch.
which is and that's beautiful. But when you go into someone else's event space, you get pushed aside.
Yes.
So my other thought is if someone is willing to provide like an in-kind donation location for EcoAthletes to host their own thing, I think that's a great starting point for warming up
Oh,
individuals or like representatives of companies or organizations. And I was looking at when the Youth Olympic Games are happening in Dakar, October 31st to November 13th. This is what we're doing with Head of the Charles is hosting a roundtable with corporate senior leadership to talk about environmental stewardship. So we're not asking for any money. The first event is free for everyone, but it's enough to kind of win hearts and minds. And I'm just thinking if there are ways for us to create a physical space that is solely the turf of eco athletes. I'm sure that has been discussed before, but just wanted to put that out for the next few years?
Yeah, well, and this came up yesterday as well. So, you know, we're a fundraising event in person kind of thing is something that is on our radar. However, for us to do it right would there's a little catch 22 to it. Like we need the resources to do it right. We need to make damn really sure that we would make money out of it, and you have to put money out and all of that. But that's life. Um, all of that to say, I think it's going to be for us something that we do. If let's say we have a good fundraiser, we end the year strong, we have a good start to the year, then we could plan it for sometime later in 26 so that we have a really good chance of doing it right. And so the answer is yes, but we just want to hit a couple of marks before that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think something to put on your radar and we can discuss separately. I'm double booked on Sunday, the 21st during Climate Week,
Mm-hmm.
but Fossil Foundation is hosting an event and they invited me, and they seem interested on the sport angle. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
they've invested in that explicitly, but they have a pretty big like foundation effort, which is cool. Um, and I got to know the guy who leads it fairly well, and he is letting me bring plus one. So in the event that I can escape, Lou, if you wanted to come to that with me, they have an incredible event space that they just kind of throw off whenever they want to. So I could see that being like a donated space, hosting a really nice
Oh my God.
reception.
Happy to be
Just an idea.
happy to be plus one or at least considered. That'd be awesome. All right, now we are going to, because we have 15 minutes left in our, we want to keep, we are very we always make sure to keep on time to respect your time. So, for the last bit of this brainstorm, and we've already kind of gotten in a lot of brainstorming as well. So we said, okay, here we're going to brainstorm, but we've already done it. But just wanted to share a couple of thought starters that we have that may also uh, spur some thought in you guys. One fundraiser that we did way back in the dark ages of EcoAthletes history of 2020, when we first started around the holidays, was we asked our champions to provide us with uh, plant-based recipes. And we at that time, if we had 25 champions, I mean, that was probably max that we had at that time. Now we have 10 times that almost. Anyway, we had 12 or 13 recipes. I'll send you the book. It was a digital book, not printed. For $10 minimum donation, you get the book. Um, and it didn't do great, but we were small as an organization at that point, just finding our way. I don't know that we knew what we were. I think that if we did something like that again now, we might have more success. But I just thought, you would want to know about that idea. And then another idea that we talked about was a photo contest. So just to get your brain's your brain power going even more, although it's been going beautifully already. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing for the entire time. And Amara Bella, you have your hand up, so you are up in Indonesia.
Thank you. Um, yeah, I like that. One of the first examples.
The cookbook.
It just reminds me, yeah, because I was thinking, when you think about fundraising, I don't know, for me, I thought about like sales, like selling. What can we sell? What can we sell that is eco-friendly, that doesn't go against our philosophy? So I was trying to think about that, but what also came up was collaborations with sustainable brands, and I know
Mm-hmm.
I have some in mind. Like there's one called Sea Sirens. They're based in Miami. They kind of like remade these bikinis, and they were done on like what is it called? Like Miami Swim Week, I think last year maybe. Anyway, just ideas. These like I wanted to just lay out all my ideas. Not that they're all like super fresh, so they're not. I haven't thought too deeply into them, but I'll just tell you them all now. So then I go specific to. Oh yeah, so then when you sell those swimsuits and stuff, that money can obviously go to a specific initiative. But an idea that I got from another swimmer was that he was joking because I do art, and he was saying maybe you could make like a stencil and draw it onto a racing suit and then sell those, and like a percentage of the profit goes to an initiative like, I don't know, rhino conservation, but it could go to EcoAthletes. um
Uh,
and then another idea was, yes, what they do at my uni is, but to raise money for our FIU team is hosting competitions. Well, not necessarily hosting, but helping run competitions. So the fees that people pay to enter the competition, part of it goes to um, the budget, whatever. So I don't know if those are things that we could think about.
I mean,
If you
uh,
guys have ever hosted competitions.
we haven't hosted anything yet, only because of, again, the diffuse nature of our champions.
Yeah,
However, what I forgot to say when we started this thing, there are no bad ideas. All ideas are good, and you gave us several that are interesting. So,
thanks. But yeah, I would just say collaboration for sure, especially when like it's a small company or organization or whatever. It's like collaborating is a great idea, and there
oh
are
yeah,
so many people up for it.
oh yeah, and um, and I am going to share. I lied. I said I wasn't going to share my screen anymore, but I am going to share my screen one time because I am going to show you, and then I will send you separately the cookbook, which we didn't do last night. But so, winning plant-based recipes for the climate change fighting athlete in you. And they were freaking so yummy. Oh my gosh. And there were about a dozen of them. Anyway, um, the the honey miso eggplant was especially good. So I will share that with you all.
Yeah, that looks awesome.
And again, we did that when we were about 5 months old as an organization. So anyway, any other ideas as we
Yeah, if I could give quick feedback, I think the cookbook is a phenomenal idea and I would need to look at it closer, but my immediate reaction is that $10 is way too low. So it almost like if you price it too low, people won't even bother
right.
to pay for it. Where like if that was priced at like 30 or $45 and it's a donation, you're doing good in the world and it's like it's tax deductible that they're making that donation.
Yep, it
You're
is.
going to get more money in for your effort. It's going to be a little bit more of an ooh shiny kind of thing. The people who have the proclivity to donate are the ones who are there's definitely donation levels that would benefit from $5 and $10, but I think the sweet spot of donation is generally going to be a population who could look at 45 and say that's worth my time kind of thing, and then you can go up from that. And I think it was Amara Bella who was saying like more of the brand partnerships just now. Um, like if you're able to get a brand and say like we're going to give you like you're a sustainable brand, we're going to give you visibility. Like would you donate or provide at uh, at cost some of your product, and then like when we have donors, like you'll get visibility. Like this will be the donor gift at like the $5,000 mark. We're gonna send you like one of those Cuba sale bags, which are already like $150 at like resale, and kind of pair it there. But I think, and this is sort of a controversial thing or something to discuss, but do you, not controversial, but it needs to be discussed. Are you like full grassroots $5 to $10 donations, Trump administration fundraising campaign style, or are you going for larger single donors, or are you creating space for both of them? I think you probably create space for both, but there's,
Create space for both. We have gotten the donations that we've gotten so far have been mostly from friends and family and people that we know, meaning the champions who push out, myself, the people who work with us, right? And they donate, 50 bucks, some 100. Then we've gotten a few, like with the various efforts we've done, including the cookbook, where we got 10, 25, 40, somewhere in there. We have a couple of donors who donate 10 or $50 a month. So we have the recurring donation, but that it's very few, like on the fingers of one hand. And then we've had a few donors at the $1,000 and $1,500 level. And there are people that either, like, one came in completely randomly. And then others, it's people that I know personally, or Patches knows, or where they were just incredibly generous and it was unexpected. So all to say, I would say we would be happy to play in both fields. And uh, per our discussion a few minutes ago on the high value donors, that's not something that we've targeted yet. But Christine, you sound like you have a knowledge base on it. We'd be happy to talk about it separately if when you have a minute. Hopefully that's a yes. Anyway, thank you for all of that. We are approaching the bottom of the hour, so any last ideas or thoughts?
I just have a preliminary thought, really quickly. Lou, I know on one of our previous meetings a few weeks ago, we had mentioned potential NIL deals, and maybe there's some way we could partner with, like we were saying before, just building off of the sustainability brands. If there is a way that we could have, whether it's athletes reach out to these sustainable brands and kind of pitch it in a way of like, hi, I'm an EcoAthletes champion. This is, what we do. This is what we're trying to fundraise for. And I think your product can align to our mission here. Is there any way that you guys would like to talk about a potential NIL deal where maybe, I don't know, we could work out the details, but maybe 50% goes to the athlete, 50% donated to EcoAthletes, for example. But that's just a preliminary idea. I'm not sure if, you guys have done something like that before, but
We have
could have
we are in the
potential.
process of, but the way you say it is so clear, that it tells me we can even do better in the way we're putting it out there. That's where we're talking about greening the Violets as in NYU, greening the Blue Devils as in Duke. But, to me, like, especially with NIL, I could see like Impossible Foods and put on the side of, the environmental benefits of Impossible Foods, or, how great or not it is, but let's use that as a kind of a marker, an Impossible Foods, or a brand in the renewable energy space, or EV parking, EV charging space, which are becoming, they started out as B2B, but they're becoming more B2C now, which is B to F, which is B to fans, business to fans. And so, yes to that. And I'm glad you gave, that was a great, like, initial thought. Sydney, anything more from you? And Marabella has something.
Sorry. Yeah, I keep
Oh,
forgetting to
sorry.
raise my hand. I wanted to say, yeah, it was great to hear everyone's ideas. Also, I'm down to help develop any any of the ideas that have been discussed or whatever comes of it. And of course my ideas too, because I mean, if you need help with designing, if we're gonna end up designing something, I'm definitely down to help with the graphics, etc. So,
Thank you so
but yeah,
much.
in general,
And when are you coming back to Florida?
my flight is on the 24th. I return on the 25th of August.
All right. So we'll be on a more copacetic time zone. What time is it where you are now?
It's 11:30 p.m.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. Oh man.
It's
That
okay.
woohoo.
It's all right. Yeah, I'm enjoying this, so it's
So
nice.
appreciated. All right. Well, thank you all really for whatever time zones you're in. And I just wanted to give you one more bit of housekeeping, which is to say that our next community chats are going to be on Tuesday, September 9th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. That's always our nighttime one. And Thursday, September 18th at 10:30 a.m. And it's going to feature Dr. Alan Hershkowitz, who is the godfather of the green sports movement. He really basically started it back in 2001, 2002 with when he partnered with the Philadelphia Eagles. He was working for the nonprofit Natural Resources Defense Council to help green the Eagles. And they started their Go Green initiative, which is going on its 24th season now. He went from that to being a president of the Green Sports Alliance, and now he is the environmental science advisor for the New York Yankees. He's the environmental science advisor for the NBA, and he is involved with uh, Major League Soccer and NWSL teams, helping to, oh, I don't know if I mentioned this yesterday, but he's consulting on the new NYCFC stadium. That's Major League Soccer in Queens, out by where the National Tennis Center is, which is going to be the first all-electric stadium. So Alan is, and he's still at heart an environmental scientist. So he is and he's part of our EcoAthletes Hall of Fame. So he'll be speaking. We'll be sending you information on that. But I just wanted to give you that heads up. And thank you all for being part of this. This was awesome. And Gianna, I will, if you could just let me invite you to collab on Instagram, like I'll do that within the 5 minutes after we get off of this.
Yeah, I'll go in now and see if I can change the settings. I'm sure I can.
All right. I'll wait 5 minutes and then I'll go in.
Sounds great. Thank you.
And Sydney, thank you
Thank
for
you all for showing up. I couldn't have done it without you. So I'm just really excited. I've been taking notes the whole time. The wheels have been turning. I'm really excited for us to be working together and for me to be here. So I'm just excited to be in the room.
okay.